What if I told you there are motorcycles out there that are deceiving you? They label themselves authentic, but really, they're full of motorcycle baloney. Today we're looking at parts on motorcycles that are actually fake. Either they're hiding something or they literally serve no purpose whatsoever. Now do me a favor before we jump into this, go hit the subscribe button, and maybe, if you're feeling it, turn on notifications so you know right when I upload. If everybody who watched this video subscribed, I would be that much closer to monetizing my channel, and that just means more money to invest into better videos. So subscribe, that would help a ton. Okay, without further ado, let's look at some fake motorcycle parts. Number 10 on our list goes to Indian with these wonderful fake side valves. Now Indian does a few things with their retro-styled liquid-cooled engines to make them at least somewhat look like the big old American V-twins of the middle of the century, but this one is one of my favorites. See, the old Indians from the 50s and the 40s and the 30s were side valve engines. This means that the valves are contained within the engine block instead of like in the cylinder head. But of course, this is all fake. Indians haven't used real side valve engines since they died back in the 50s. No doubt a big part of Indian's success today though is their ability to just fake old school. We'll talk about this more later, but for now, the side valve design with the exhaust headers that appear to come out of the side of the engine, which they don't, stands as one of the better fake motorcycle parts that I've seen. Okay, we're gonna jump around back and forth between motorcycle manufacturers, but for this one, I wanna point out Triumph's modern classic range and specifically their fake exhaust headers. That's right, this is fake. Well, somewhat. See, the design is so seamless, like it's so well done you would never guess it at first or even at second glance, but if you really get down there and look, you'll see that the Bonnevilles and other modern classics do not, in fact, have a single pipe coming out of the engine. In fact, it's actually two pipes with a fake or faux front of chrome, making it look like one pipe. See, underneath all of this, there's a little thing called a catalytic converter, and the pipe is actually filtering into that device and then out again. So it's actually two pipes, which in my opinion is pretty genius. I think other manufacturers should actually consider doing this, even if they're not trying to be retro. For example, the MV Agusta dragster line, or like just the naked bikes by MV Agusta. These bikes would look a lot cleaner if they could figure out how to hide the catalytic converter better, and maybe they could take some cues from Triumph to do it, but yeah. I digress. Now, while we're at it, let's talk about some more fake Triumph stuff, and specifically, we're looking at the fake air-cooledness, whatever, of the modern classic lineup. So the 900cc and 1200cc parallel twins, they're entirely liquid-cooled engines that rather convincingly appear to have air-cooled properties. Yeah, they just look air-cooled, basically. Now, I would include Royal Enfield twins here as well, and obviously Indians also, but the Royal Enfields are partially air-cooled, whatever that means. The Triumphs are entirely liquid-cooled, but man, they look so much like the old air-cooled bikes. In theory, I hate this because it's all fake, but man, they look good. So I'm okay with it. Okay, number 7 goes to the fake gas tank on electric motorcycles. Bikes like the Harley Livewire, for example, appear to have a gas tank with a battery underneath it, and oftentimes the battery is incorporated into the gas tank shaped area, but for some electric bikes, it's just like storage or nothing. But 100% of the time, if you see what appears to be a tank on an electric motorcycle, that is not a tank. Because it turns out electric motorcycles are powered by electricity, not gas. I do think that electric motorcycles need to learn to design their bikes in a way that's compelling without having to have a tank. I know that's a difficult thing to do because we've always just sort of assumed motorcycles have a look with a tank right there. But yeah, fake gas tanks. Okay, we are on number 6 and we're back over to Indian with their fake Flathead engines. Now the reason Flathead engines from the early American motorcycling days were called Flatheads, because they really don't look flat, is that there wasn't a bunch of stuff up on top of the cylinders like modern engines. Basically, this is what American motorcycle engines looked like before they got overhead valves and camshafts up on top. There was nothing up there. So they just made the top all finned as well for cooling and air displacement. Something that really is important on a modern liquid-cooled overhead valve engine like the modern Indians. You gotta have that, gotta have those fins up there to keep it cool. But like most of the things on this list, it's actually pretty cool looking. It's all fake and unnecessary, but I like it. All right, enough picking on Indian and Triumph for the moment, because there is actually more picking on them to come. Let's talk about Harley for a second. Now, Harley does a lot of old school things in terms of design, but most of it's actually real, like the push rods and, the air-cooled engines. But there are some Harleys that are faking it, and one in particular is the Softail, ironically named as it's made to look like a hardtail. So this motorcycle at first appearance looks like it has zero suspension, like none at all. It looks like you go over a speed bump and spill your black coffee all over the gas tank, but in reality, it's designed and shaped and formed to appear that way, while there is actually suspension hidden underneath there so that you don't jar your brains out on the road. So it's not exactly that there's a fake part, it's just sort of a fake design made to look like there's no suspension. So yeah, it fits. Okay, number 4 is in the thumbnail. This one is pretty crazy and I'm sure many of you have seen it, and personally I don't like this one. But on some of the Triumph Modern Classics there is what appears to be a carburetor. Not a real carburetor like my old Triumph. No, this is a regular throttle body for a modern fuel injection system made to look like a carburetor. This is too far for me personally. I love the Triumphs, I love old Triumphs, I love new Triumphs, I love the brand. I'm a bit of a Triumph fanboy, but I would much prefer the 900cc variants like the T100 and the Street Twin, and I believe the Speed Twin as well, with their nicely styled throttle body covers that still fit with the design. For me, personally, the fake carburetor is just too much. All right, number 3 goes to Indian. Sorry, Indian, this is the last time I'm gonna pick on you guys, but you get 3rd place with the fake gas cap. That's right, some Indians have a fake gas cap, like the Indian Dark Horse, and I believe the Indian Vintage. Basically, the old Harleys and Indians had 2 caps. I'm pretty sure it was for gas and for oil, and because it's all retro and all vintage with these companies, they keep the 2 gas caps, but only one of them actually gets used for filling up with gas. The other is fake and apparently quite difficult to remove, but this one guy on Reddit did get his off, and to his surprise, there was nothing under there, like we assumed. Okay guys, this is the last one we're going to talk about Triumph. And stay tuned for the last one, because it's a totally different motorcycle manufacturer. But the last one for Triumph, I actually just realized in looking at my bike and then also looking at the new Modern Classics. But here on the right side of the engine, this circle cover is normally there on the old Triumphs because it is a points cover. So old motorcycles had what is called points ignition, and this little cap was that cover. But of course, modern Triumphs have electronic ignition. But of course, modern Triumphs have electronic ignition. But of course, modern Triumphs have electronic ignition. So what is this cover there for? Well, if you go onto Triumph's site and configure one of their Modern Classics, you'll see that this part is called an ACG badge, which essentially means that it's a cover for the alternator. So in this case, it's fake in the sense that it's made to look like a points cover to get all those oldie Triumph boys to buy their bikes, but really it actually does serve a purpose. It's there so you can basically take it off and then service the alternator. So yeah, okay, the last one on our list is one of the most blatant and hated fake parts. It's the Yamaha MT10S fake air scoop. That's right, this airflow thing on the side of the bike towards the front that really does look like it should be, I don't know, flowing air, is fake and useless. It does no airflow things. It helps the bike in no way, arguably it hurts it, and in my opinion, it doesn't add to the style or design at all. This isn't as bad as the VMAX with their massive fake air intakes, which did house electronics, I believe. I'm not sure if the MT10s do that, but regardless, I don't like them. I think this bike would look a lot cooler without them. But hey, could just be me. All right, there are your 10 fake motorcycle parts. If you guys know of any more, which I'm sure there are, and I'm sure a lot of you do know, let us know down below in the comments. These are just the ones that I know of, and like I said, I'm sure there's a bunch more. And yeah, hope you guys are doing well, hope you're riding safe. We'll see you in the next one.